Business Connections Live, the UK's leading online business channel. This is Business Connections Live with Steve Hyland.
Hello there, and welcome to Business Connections Live, the program for entrepreneurs, SMEs and business owners. On today's show, we're going to be talking about how you put your company on the map with targeted marketing. We all talk about marketing. I often say that marketing is everything and everything is marketing in a business. But it does seem that for a lot of the time we get it hopelessly wrong. Now, joining me in the studio today is Victoria Vickery, founder and managing director of All Star Marketing Club. Victoria, it's lovely to have you with us today. Was I right, do you think, in what I said there, that we really don't really get marketing very right in our businesses, do we?
Absolutely not. And, you know, the stats speak for themselves. When you look at business failure rates in the UK, they are remarkably high. So, you know, 8 out of 10 businesses fail in their first 18 months and 2 years.
Do you think that's down to people not getting the marketing right? Do you think they have a big idea and they just get it hopelessly wrong when they try to get out there with it?
Yes, there are lots of reasons that business fails, but marketing is up there within the top 5 reasons.
Really?
And a lot of the time it's because companies will dabble in marketing, certainly, and they'll do their best, but their best is quite frankly not good enough. Marketing is a science and you need to know the science that sits behind it.
Now, I know you're going to be very biased on this. We're going to find out a bit about you in just a moment, and you will be biased, but where would you put marketing then in the business mix? We've got, you know, everybody kind of says, you know, you've got product development, you've got sales. I mean, is marketing above sales, below sales? Is it equal to sales?
Marketing feeds sales, and I would say marketing is absolutely essential, and it should be part of a business growth plan. So it sits right up there in the business plan, not just in something that's isolated. So I would say it's very much hand in hand with what the business is doing in terms of what it needs to achieve.
How do you define marketing then? I often define it as marketing is taking the horse to water and sales is making the horse drink. How do you define it?
Marketing is not just about bringing the communication out to the customer and helping them to make the decision. Marketing goes right back to not only the communications, but the pricing that sits behind it, the product itself or the service. It's part of where you actually sell that product. So it's everything in the infrastructure of how a business is set up. And marketing ultimately leads to the sales environment. So it's very much as you describe it. It's taking that customer all the way through and making the sales part a lot easier than it would otherwise be.
Well, use the expression, shall we? It's a journey. It's the sales journey, of which marketing is an intrinsic part.
Absolutely.
Tell me a little bit about you. What's your background? Because, you know, you didn't wake up one morning and go, right, I'm going to be a marketing expert.
I certainly did not, Steve. I fell into marketing, quite frankly, in my early 20s, and I'm heading very fast towards my 40s now. So I've been doing marketing for about 16 years. And I started out as a marketing assistant 16 years ago. And I've done every part of marketing really in those 16 years, right the way from designing products, all the way through to the communications part, the market research and the customer research, and pretty much everything in between. And it was 3 years ago that I left corporate life. So I've worked in large corporates for most of my career. And it was 3 years ago that I left corporate life and set up my own marketing business.
So what you do now, you go out there and you train people to market, or you go in, you act as a consultant as well in different... first of all, across all industries, do we make the same mistakes across all industries? And if we do, is it the same mistake? And what is the mistake?
It is, I would say, when you actually peel back an industry, the marketing that needs to be done underneath that is essentially the same, no matter what industry you're in. And that's something that small businesses do need to understand, that no one is different. And we hear that a lot. Well, my business is different. I don't need marketing, or, you know, it's different for me. I can't do marketing like everybody else. It's not. Everyone is the same and they need the same types of marketing to apply to their business. And that is one mistake that is made.
Has the likes of social media confused the whole thing a little bit? Because people seem to feel that social media, using their Twitter, using Facebook, doing all of those kind of things, actually is marketing. Is it marketing?
It is marketing. It is marketing. And I think that social media has actually made marketing easier than ever for businesses to achieve. The only problem is with that is that small businesses tend to dabble with social media, and it really needs a robust strategy that sits behind it to make sure that social media works. And that is one of the points I would make in terms of why a small business's marketing doesn't work. And that's because they isolate pockets of marketing. So social media, their website, their marketing collateral, when in fact it all needs to flow together and be used in a system to make marketing work for their business.
So we've got to have a strategic approach then to the whole world of marketing. I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's work our way through what we're looking for today. Of course, what we've said here is that, do you find in your business that your marketing doesn't work? And that must be, and I suppose that is the most basic of all the problems that people have. So if somebody comes to you and goes, doesn't work, I've tried marketing, I've tried this, that and the other, I don't seem to be getting any results from it. How do you approach it and how do you fix the issue?
How we approach that is to fundamentally do a review of exactly what they are doing within their business with marketing, and we look at doing a bit of a gap analysis on where they're actually going wrong. And a lot of the time, Steve, it's simply because they don't have marketing as a key pillar within their business.
All right, explain a little bit more about that key pillar. How do you mean?
So I'll just share some results with you of a survey that we carried out recently, a piece of research that said that 90% of small businesses, they know that marketing is intrinsic to making their business work. However, they don't have the budget that sits behind it and they don't have the time to put into it. And I would say time is one of the biggest factors. And therefore, they are unable to make marketing a key pillar within their business. They don't put resource to it, they don't put time to it, and they don't put any type of support behind it. So one of the things that we advise at All Star Marketing Club is you must make time for marketing. We ask our members to carve out half a day every single month and an hour per day on top of that. And the key question for me is every single business should be asking themselves, what am I doing today to bring in new customers and look after my existing customers?
It sounds a bit frightening because a lot of people can get very busy within their business, can't they? I can come into our business here, Business Connections Live, and I can be working all day, I can be very busy and actually talk to nobody outside of the business. Do you think that hour is really, really important, that you are outward looking and not inward looking?
Absolutely. You need to work on your business and think about what it is that will bring those customers into you, because if we don't have customers, we don't have a business. So it is about carving out that time and being very disciplined to make it work. What
do you say to businesses that when you say this to them, look, you've got to do your half a day a month, you've got to do your hour a day, and you kind of alluded to it a moment or so ago. You were talking about, I don't have the budget or we don't allocate enough budget. Do we need a huge budget
Absolutely not.
to successfully market?
No, you don't need a budget at all in the first instance. So lots of the businesses that we work with, they don't have a marketing budget. But if you can put time in it and you can put resource into it, you're onto something there with just those two things alone. So there are many things as a business that you can do. And when we go in and we work with a small business, it's all about getting some key pillars in place first of all. And that's simply things like making sure you've got a database in place, making sure that you've got a website that converts. So making sure that you drive good traffic to that website. It's about making sure that your social media presence is really, really strong. But more than that, it's about having really fantastic content to plug into that whole ecosystem. So it's really about some of the fundamental things that a business can be doing to make sure that they can win when it comes to starting to communicate with their customers.
Does it surprise you when you're looking at businesses at how little businesses understand that?
It doesn't, because we work with so many. We work with hundreds.
You see it all the time.
Yeah, no,
actually, yeah.
And there are so many quick wins that can be put in place. But we work with hundreds of businesses across the UK on their marketing, and we see this time and time again, and it really is a quick fix. And it's so surprising how many small businesses say, you know, they feel quite enlightened when we work with them and realise how simple it really is.
It's one of the mistakes that businesses make, the fact that they concentrate so much on trying to get new customers that they don't market to their existing customers. They don't look after the customers that have already said yes.
Yeah, it can be. One of the things that's really important for every person that's working on every small business working on their marketing is to think about, what is my marketing mission? What am I trying to achieve with my marketing? And that's something that you need to pin down very early on, because if you can crack that, that will tell you whether your marketing should be actually concentrating on bringing new customers in or looking after the ones you've got. Because there is something in that. It's quite possible for a business to get substantial growth by simply increasing the amount of business they do with their existing clients. And sometimes that's overlooked in favour of just going after new customers.
And you see that as an issue. Is that, and what kind of success do you think you can see if you take that approach to your marketing?
I think it's huge. I think it's absolutely huge. It's turning your head and looking at existing customers and making some decisions over perhaps increasing your prices, increasing the amount of sales with your existing customers, and that can be a very, very big and quick win for businesses by turning their head to existing customers.
Well, listen, it's going to be a really interesting hour. We're going to be working our way through what you can do for your business if you want to increase your marketing. I mean, obviously, we're going to give you some hints and tips as the programme goes on, but if you are sitting back at the moment on your laurels, perhaps you are working very hard, moving forward all the time. Maybe you've got autoresponders and you've got, you know, kind of different pieces of technology that will do mail shots and all the rest of it, but you're working all the time and getting new clients, but you're letting your old ones, the ones that you've already qualified, you're letting them just kind of disappear into the past. Perhaps you need to reconsider that. Maybe that should be more part of your marketing mix. Are you giving it enough time each week? Are you sitting down for an hour a day and looking at ways that you can grow your business through marketing? Is your website marketing for you? Remember, everything you do for your business should be increasing your marketing impact that you have out there. And let's face it, do you need a big budget? Not really. Listen, more to come on this edition of Business Connections Live with Victoria Vickery. Great to have you with us, live as we always are on YouTube here on a Monday. Don't miss any of the shows. Don't forget you can always catch them up as well by going to Business Connections Live. There's over 200 hours of great free business advice for you. If you are a startup business, if you've maybe been established for some time. I mean, here we are, we're talking about a subject that established businesses do on a day-by-day basis. You know, marketing, in all the years that I've been in business, marketing truly hasn't changed. Yes, the tools have changed, but the actual marketing, fundamental marketing of a business, really it hasn't changed at all. And neither have the people within businesses. And that leads us on nicely to what happened in last week's edition of Business Connections Live. I had Dr. Linda Shaw on the programme. We were talking about neuroscience. What does neuroscience mean to businesses today? How do you look after your staff? Is a happy member of staff, is that something that's going to be more effective and going to make more profit? Is that the way you should be tiering it? How do you manage people? Do you manage them with the whip or do you manage them with the carrot? Linda Shaw, she was a fascinating guest. If you haven't watched the entire programme, I do suggest you do. If you haven't, here's a bit of a teaser of what happened on last week's edition of Business Connections Live. Now, on today's show, we're going to be talking about how businesses and individuals can influence with integrity using emotion for improved sales, marketing, and effective communications. Could be an interesting one today. Joining me in the studio is Dr. Linda Shaw, neuroscientist and business psychologist, professional speaker, consultant and author.
Perception is everything. There is no reality, there is actually only perception. So how people perceive themselves is often offline. Some people might think, a senior person might think they're being assertive, in actual fact they're bullying. Some people might be being too nice, when in actual fact they're being weak, or they're being seen to be weak. So it's very important that we understand how perception works, and once we realise that, we can then tailor how we communicate with people. With this popularity thing, you don't want a CEO or an MD being too nice if there's an acquisition in the making, because you're going to be cutting heads, you're going to be making some bad decisions, or what are perceived to be bad decisions for the sake of the business. So you're not going to be Mr. Popular or Mrs. Popular or Ms. Popular. However, your people won't work for you well if they don't like you. I sit in boardrooms a lot and I watch when I go into companies as a consultant, or I work with their teams, or I work with people individually, and I sit in the boardroom and I watch, and I see them coming in and they're like, oh, look at the time, and they're on their phone and they go for the coffee and they're eating the sugary biscuits and they're da-da-da-da, I really don't want to be here, I've got so much to do, and they're getting all anxious and angst. And then the meeting starts. The senior person who's chairing the meeting will start by saying, right, I know you've all got a lot to do, and this is the problem, and we've got to find a solution now, and then we can all get on with it. Okay, right, concentrate. So they're all concentrating, but they're not. If you want a creative workforce, yes. If you want a loyal workforce, yes. And if you want a healthy workforce, yes. All of those things, yeah, they've got to be having fun at work. They're at work for ages. You know, if they're hating every minute of it, they'll be going off sick. They'll be, in fact, there's some statistics I saw recently that if somebody is off sick from work for 2 weeks or more, they're not very likely to go back to work. There is a massive trend that I believe will increase, is that people will be working a portfolio. They'll be doing a little bit of work for the corporates on a PAYE scheme. They'll be doing a little bit of work for themselves. They'll be taking a pension at the same time. It's a nightmare for the Inland Revenue, because you've got all these different areas of income coming in. I think it's going to happen more and more and more. You know, the thing is, when I speak to people, I give talks on depression and dementia and other things like that as well. If people want to feel valuable, they want to feel valid, and if there is one word I would use that everybody on this planet wants to feel, and that's significant. Oh, it's the golden nugget, absolutely golden nugget, especially with your customers and clients. If they don't trust you, then you won't get any repeat business. Simple as that. You know, black and white. They will go to the competition, especially if they're slightly cheaper or something like that. So all the time, you don't want to get in a price war. That's a horrible place to be. You have to be the trusted go-to person. You have to watch, you have to be very attentive and listen properly when somebody is speaking, because there's a leakage that comes in their eyes, and it's below conscious awareness, and it's a leak that shows you the emotion of the 6 basic emotions plus contempt that they are feeling. And it's so fleeting that it's before they realise they're feeling the emotion. Okay, hi everyone, I'm Linda Shaw, I'm a neuroscientist and a business psychologist, and my 3 key takeaways are this. Because I love working with the really ambitious out there, those who want promotion, those who have got businesses they're running on, founders who want their pot of gold, I think it's really important that you remember core values. I think it's important because if your core value of your one single message for your product or your company is filled with emotion, to make sure everybody in your firm knows about it. Everybody is on the message. That's point number 1. Number 2 is please develop trust within your company. If you are trusted, you will become more trustworthy, and vice versa. Remember, if you break that trust, there's a chance that people will demonise you and you will lose relationships. So trust is a key element. The other thing is, I know as a business owners you make huge decisions, but remember, perception is not reality, and all we have to go on is perception. So it's really worthwhile listening to other people for feedback, for their perceptions of what the problem is, and you've got a better chance of making a really brilliant decision. So good luck.
Dr. Linda Shaw, an absolutely fascinating show. If you're into neuroscience, or you think you might be, I suggest you watch that programme. Also, we've got another show where we look at neuroscience as well with Deborah Hume a couple of weeks back on that one. Just go to Business Connections Live. You can find all the shows there, and just peruse your way through the programmes, and I think you'll find one that is going to be a benefit to your business. Incidentally, if you'd like to have a programme just like the one that you've just seen, maybe this one in fact, then you can always get in touch with us here. We can customize customise this studio to make it look absolutely perfect for you. We've got a brand new feature as well, a video wall that we can bring into our studio here, and we can do all sorts of clever things. If you'd like more details about that, well, why don't you drop us an email to studio@businessconnectionslive.com. If you want, you can give us a call on the dog and bone. We'll do it old-fashioned way. You can have a word with either myself or Linda Bazant. The telephone number is 01784 256 777. Don't forget, you can follow our train of consciousness at BCL Business TV. You can even DM us. See, I'm down with the kids. I know all these terms. You can contact us via Twitter, and don't forget our Facebook page as well. We're getting a lot of contact, a lot of interaction on Facebook. If you're in business and you're not using Facebook Live, there is something going on at Facebook. They love live video. If you're not using live video on your site, it seems that Facebook, the moment they see that you are streaming live to Facebook, they promote it right across their platform. It's a terrific way of getting your information out there, and cheap as well, for that matter. And then you can do ads on the back end of it. So targeted ads. We're talking about marketing today. Maybe that's something you should be considering. We'll do a program on that in the near future on how you can maximize your return when it comes to using Facebook and Facebook Live to promote your business. Some people say it's not quite right for my business. Well, you know what? Let the customers be the judge of that. Maybe we sometimes put barriers up and we don't explore the true potential of every platform that is out there. You're watching Business Connections Live. It's great to have your company as always. My guest on today's show is Victoria Vickery. She's the founder and managing director of All Star Marketing Club. Today we're talking about marketing. Are you marketing your business successfully? Or are you one of the many thousands, millions perhaps, of business owners out there who say, well, our marketing just doesn't seem to be working? Whose fault is it? Is it the fact that are you doing the wrong kind of marketing? Are you doing the right kind of marketing to the wrong audience? I mean, what is it? Well, hopefully today we'll be able to give you a bit of a clue and to tell you a little bit more, maybe give you some advice as well. Victoria Vickery. Victoria, great to have you with us, as I mentioned. On targeted marketing and not understanding the customer, do we understand our customer well enough?
I think everybody in business has a really good idea of who their customers are. But the problem is they don't leverage that in their marketing, and that is the big shame. So I think for this one, this is marketing 101 for me. Identify who your target customer is. A business won't just have one, and if you market to everybody, you are marketing to nobody at all. And that's really difficult because lots of businesses, they don't want to kind of place their hat on one particular customer. They want to, they're quite scared to do that because they feel like they might be missing out on lots of business out there that might exist for them. But if we don't talk to an individual customer in a way that resonates with them, then they won't take a bite of what we're trying to sell to them, and it's as easy as that. So my one lesson here in knowing your customer is to really get under the skin of them so that you can make meaningful communications to them.
Do you build a profile of your customer?
Yes, absolutely.
Now, now I've said it, I don't really know what that means, but I mean, building a profile, is it this whole thing about it's the 35, 36-year-old, it's the managing director, drives XYZ car, plays golf and so. Do you need to go into that kind of detail?
You do need to go to that.
Them?
Yes, absolutely, Steve. So that's one element of it. So if you can describe the person, you can almost see them standing in the room with you. So when you are trying to communicate with them, it gives you a much better understanding of the persona that they have. So you can start to write in a way that resonates with them. You can think through, well, how would they understand this, or what is it that they actually need? And I think that when it comes to developing that persona, it's not only about describing, how old they are, where do they live, what's their lifestyle like. It's actually thinking, what do they fear? What is it that really, what do they really need?
I suppose it's feeling their pain is the way it's sometimes described, isn't it? It's coming back down
to the pain points, absolutely. But if you can get to that level where you can describe their pain point, you can describe their fears relative to your product or service, that's when you can really make meaningful connections with them. If you can describe those things, you start to connect emotionally. And, you know, we'll know from biopsychology and lessons that we've learned from that, particularly in some of your past shows, that if you can connect emotionally, it's much more powerful than connecting on a benefits level of a product or service. So if we can understand the customer, we can connect with them emotionally.
I suppose when we look at it, it's the whole difference between a buckshot, where you're trying to hit everything, and that narrow, that single bullet.
Yes.
When I used to work in radio, in the early days, radio stations would be all things to all people. There'd be a bit of country and western, there'd be a bit of classical, there'd be a bit of this and a bit of that. And then as radio in the country developed, instead of it being broadcasting, it became narrowcasting.
Yes.
So the station was the same, targeting a particular audience all the time. And is that what you think businesses should be doing? We should understand who our target audience is, exactly understand the way they think.
Yes, absolutely. I think that's a really fantastic example that you've just given about radio, because that's exactly what we should be looking for. And a business will have several types of, we call them star customers. They are the absolute star customers that you would want to work with, and that actually they love you, they love what you do. And I think going broad, as you described, is a way of isolating them altogether because they don't understand you as a business. So, yes.
Do you have an example of where you've done that, where you've I know I'm kind of throwing you a monkey at the moment, but where you've gone into a business and the business owner said, yeah, here's the product that we're doing at the moment, and here's how we're marketing. The marketing is very general in the way it's approaching it, and you've gone in there, you've gone, actually, your target audience is this, and you've seen results. Have you got an example at all?
I have got several examples.
That's lucky.
I'll pick one in particular. And also a little bit of a promotion for her business. But a lady called Caroline, she owns Lankham Country Cottages in Dorset. Fantastic business and fantastic location. And when working with Caroline on her marketing, we looked at actually, who is it that we want to market to? So we looked at different types of audience. So one was families with young children. So the marketing of families with young children was very much different to another segment that we looked at, which was older retired people with some disposable income that liked a bit of rambling. And in between that, couples with dogs.
I've got somebody that works here that likes to do a bit of rambling.
There you go.
Yeah,
Well,
he's
they're
rambling in
perfect
my ear on a regular basis.
So there you have it. There's three examples of three star customers, as we call them, and how you would market to them differently because they want different things. And so the ones with children, they want to know that there's a swimming pool there, and they want to know there's a games lodge there, whereas the dog owners, they want to know that there's long dog walks for them to go on with their animals. So you can see that you can really resonate with them on a different level if you know exactly what their needs are.
Do we worry a little bit, though, that because when we do our broad marketing approach to marketing our business, is it the fact that we're limited on budget? And so by being limited on budget, you kind of think, right, I've only got one shot at this. And is that something that it would be better to spend, you know, a targeted audience, spend all your money on one particular market sector and just grow that. And then if that works, then you can do another market sector and another market sector.
Yeah, I mean, you've just hit the nail on the head. Never go too broad. You do need to stay. If you do it broadly, you can go very shallow into the activity, whereas if you are very narrow and targeted, then you can go much, much deeper and make it more meaningful. So it's about we've already said that time is an issue, so you can't do it all and you don't have the money to do it all necessarily. So it's about choosing 2 or 3 things and doing them really, really well and targeting that customer really, really well.
Do we have to consider within our business the voice as well that our business is projecting? So different audiences, a different voice.
I think overall we need to understand that as a business, and this kind of steps into branding somewhat, but as a business we will have a tone of voice. And that will be consistent throughout all of our communications because we as a business exist and we are what we are. But it will be about choosing different messages for the different target audiences, but very much still being true to the brand.
Is there sometimes, so I've got the product that everybody wants. It's It's the must-have product. So it's the Okie Kokie 2000. That's what I've just developed. This it's brand new,
Sounds
and
great.
it's available right now. It doesn't sound very Japanese to me. And advertising. How old is that ad?
Where are we going with this?
Anyway, where are we going with that? But what we end up doing is everybody wants it. So everybody wants it, and we open all these different marketing doors. Is there a danger that we open too many marketing doors, and then what we don't do then is we can't service all of them, so we do a bad job across the results of our marketing?
That is very, very true. So this is another huge issue for small businesses. It's all very well opening, as you say, as many marketing doors as we can, but what comes with that is a lack of ability to do it really, really well. So it comes back to when we work with businesses, we pare it right back and look at, okay, so what marketing doors, what channels of marketing can we choose that will allow you to market really, really well, thinking about the star customer. So, for example, we would not choose to advertise in Golf Monthly. I don't even know if that magazine exists. It probably does. So you wouldn't choose to advertise in Golf Monthly if your customers are actually tennis players. So it's about opening the right marketing doors that you know your customers are going to sit behind, and making sure that we're not opening too many, because we don't have the time and we don't have the budget to do that.
And I suppose as well that if we don't target properly, and if we don't have that vision of our customer in our mind's eye, as you just said, we could be marketing to just the wrong people. They may be nearly suitable, but they're just the wrong people.
That's it, and it's that whole spray and pray thing. We're just getting our message out there, but it's not landing in the right places.
What about persistency when it comes to opening those doors? Are there any rule of thumbs that you need to be thinking about when it comes to the number of the amount of marketing that you're doing? Can you do a little bit and be successful, or do you need to be doing a lot, or do you need to do a bit a lot of times?
So, persistency is absolutely crucial. So if we think about marketing, it's almost like a funnel. So we need to lead people down that funnel. So if you just market once or twice to one person, you're staying very much in just the awareness phase, and you're not giving them enough information about your business for it to have any resonance to them whatsoever. So a rule of thumb would be you need to think about creating 7 to 15 interactions with a customer before they will even consider buying from your brand. 7 to 15 interactions. So it's really, really important to engineer your marketing to do that. So if you think about it in the customer shoes, Steve, what would you do if you received an email from somebody that you'd never even encountered before?
You just ignore it, don't you? Or you put it in your rubbish bin, don't you?
Absolutely. So think about the next phase from that. You email them again, and they'll probably ignore it again. So it's our job to make sure that we are allowing the customer to get familiar with our brand, so that eventually they'll know our name. We'll be a recognised name in their inbox, and they're more likely to take notice of us because of that.
All right, then, that sounds... we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But that whole area of interaction, really, really important. So between, 10 to 15. More to come on this edition of Business Connections Live in just a few moments' time. Well, you're watching Business Connections Live. Here we are. It is a Monday. Great guest with us today, Victoria Vickery, founder and managing director of All Star Marketing Club. And of course, with the marketing, there's always the inevitable next step on, isn't there? What happens after the marketing? Well, hopefully you're going to be closing the doors on the people that come and buy, or you can make the horse actually drink when it turns into sales. And we had a great show a little while back from Jackie Jarvis. The issue that a lot of people find themselves under is it all becomes very stressful. The whole process of marketing becomes stressful, and the whole process of sales becomes even more stressful. And I suppose the reason for that is at the end of the day it's because that's what it's all about. That's what business is about. You want to close the deal to make some income, to make some cash, to go on your bottom line. So is it possible, do you think, to be in a world where you can have stress-free selling? Is it possible? Well, Jackie Jarvis, she thought that or she thought that was possible. So just to give us a bit of a reminder, here's Jackie Jarvis from her programme on stress-free selling.
I'm Jackie Jarvis and I'm a sales and relationship expert. I'm also the author of Quick Wins in Sales and Marketing. And real takeaways that I would suggest you take away from a stress-free selling session today is it's very important for you to see sales in a completely different way. To see sales as helping the client, of helping the client find a solution. If you think about it in that way, it will take an awful lot of the stress out of it. If you also think about how you can prepare effectively, prepare a really effective sales process, the steps through a sales ladder, and think about how you're going to structure those conversations with the client. Really to think about how you can make sure that the client is actually prepared for the sales conversations that you're having by sending them either a questionnaire or something to prepare that's well thought out. Making sure that you also do your research on the client and make sure that you understand who it is that you're going to see and what it is that might motivate them to use or need your particular product. Also to think about how you get yourself in a good state to sell effectively, to make sure that you give yourself permission to be yourself. The person is buying you and the relationship that they have with you. So give yourself that permission just to be true to yourself. Remember why you started this business in the first place. Remember the passion that you have for your particular product or service, and really believe in the value that you have to offer. I think that's really important. And then just go out there and find the right people that you can actually help. When you've done all this thinking and preparation, it's really then down to you just going out and being true to yourself and true to the product and service that you have available for those clients. So just go out there and enjoy it and have fun.
Great show. If you missed it, then I'd suggest you go to the website businessconnectionslive.com and you can see over 200 hours of great programs. By the way, this is I'm throwing a bit of a googly here. If you do watch any of the programs, and don't forget they're also on iTunes as well, would you do us a big favour? Would you leave us a review on iTunes? We'd really appreciate that. It's dead easy to do, incidentally. All you've got to do is follow the link on our website, or just go to your iTunes, view the programme in iTunes, click on that, there you go. And then when you come to the page where all the programmes are all lined up, just click on ratings and reviews. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And then down here, write a review. You need to say something like, that Steve Highland is a lovely bloke. 5 stars, steady, 5 stars. And once you've done that, that'd be fantastic, and that will help us on iTunes. It raises the awareness of the programme, well, around the world. And don't forget, we are available on all sorts of different things: YouTube, Facebook, Roku, Blueberry, Stitcher. It's out there everywhere, and of course iTunes as well. If you can help us with a little bit of marketing for the programme, just to get the name out there so that more market and business owners hear about the programme, would really appreciate it. So please do that, won't you? You're watching Business Connections Live. My guest on today's show is Victoria Vickery. She's the founder and managing director of All Star Marketing Club. The one thing that does keep coming up, I suppose, about a lot of people, and we hear it all the time, it's in the title of the programme. A lot of people do say, look, I've tried a bit of marketing and that doesn't work. I've tried a bit of social media, that doesn't work. I've tried some page advertising, that didn't work. What would you say to them?
First of all, just to hugely agree with what you've just said there. In the survey that we carried out very recently, 80% of people had said, well, I've tried marketing and it doesn't work. 80%, it's staggering. What I would say is, let's look at what you're doing, because marketing does work. So my suspicion would be, there is a fundamental issue and a flaw in the way that that marketing is being carried out.
Don't beat around the bush. Just tell them they're getting it wrong, aren't they?
You're doing it wrong.
You're just doing it wrong. There's no two ways about it. It's when people sort of say, does radio advertising work? It must work because there are some companies that keep coming back time and time and time and time again. For some organisations, they will invest into radio advertising and maybe their investment won't be big enough for it to work. So they haven't invested enough time into it. Do you think there is a sequence into the process that we go through when it comes to looking at our marketing?
Without a doubt. So it comes back to the point made earlier around the need for 7 to 15 interactions before somebody would buy from your brand, and we need to engineer a sequence that takes them from being aware of what we do to being able to consider us in their mix of other providers that they might be looking at, right the way through to them actually buying from us. So we've got a long journey to take them on, and it's our job to make sure that they move through that journey. It's not theirs. And I think that a lot of companies are afraid of making too many contacts for the fear of putting that customer off, quite frankly. But those customers, they will tolerate a lot more than you think they will, because it is our job to make that happen. It's our job to let them know that we exist in the first place. Otherwise, we're simply the best kept secret.
All right, so let's block it out then a little bit. We're talking about between up to 15 contacts. They reckon around about 8 is when people start to notice you. Radio advertising, I think it's 4 listens before they start to hear your radio advert. So if you buy one slot in breakfast on a station, they're not going to hear it. It's as simple as that.
It's the same with magazine advertising or anything like that. Once just won't cut it. They need to see you time and time again.
So when we are sending out our email marketing campaign or our Twitter campaign, should we be slightly bullish in the numbers that we do? If we think it's getting to the point of being embarrassing, are we now approaching the actual point where it's becoming effective?
Probably. That's probably about right. I think one of the things to think of when you are putting together a marketing sequence is not to think about a marketing channel in isolation. So let me give you an example of that. Imagine that I start off in LinkedIn and I create myself a beautiful list of very, very targeted customers that I'd really like to work with. And this is something that anybody viewing this could do right now. So we're looking for other businesses. We create a fantastic database of those people that we want to work with. So it's about nurturing them now. So the next example could be that you start to formalise LinkedIn requests, nice personal LinkedIn requests. So it starts off a little bit manual. From that, we can then look at sending out a direct marketing piece to them because they've started to become familiar with our name in their LinkedIn inbox, for example.
Now, what are you saying here? Are you saying, because LinkedIn is a very powerful tool.
Absolutely.
Is it something that we have access to their emails? Do we come off LinkedIn and then approach them directly? I often ask the question, if somebody says, yes, they will connect with me on LinkedIn, is that the equivalent of them giving me my business card or their business card to me? Because if someone gives me their business card, I take that as them allowing me to market to them or at least contact them.
I think there needs to be an express interest there, that you formalise the fact that they want to hear from you again. Otherwise, obviously, you're getting into the realms of data protection there. But absolutely, within those interactions on LinkedIn, you should be looking at formalising, it'd be great to keep in contact with you and making some meaningful interactions. So it's a very, very personal experience for them when you're talking to them.
Right, OK, so that's important, isn't it? So you're making it a personal experience on LinkedIn.
Yes.
About you. So I take it the saying the congratulations when their anniversaries come up.
That's it.
Going back to them.
So you're watching what they're doing on LinkedIn. We're using a very specific example here, but so you're watching what they're doing on LinkedIn. You might comment, you might share stuff that they're putting on there, and making yourself a known name to them. So
this is using social media in a social way, then.
Yes, it is, and it's about, when you're using social media platforms, it's about making it a very native experience. So LinkedIn, Facebook, it's about being true to the platform and delivering an experience on there that is expected by that individual. So on Facebook, it's about very much, when, for example, Facebook advertising, it's about being very putting things on there that feel like they flow in somebody's news feed and not kind of sticking out like a sore thumb. So you need to be true to the experience of what that platform is trying to deliver. I guess my point here in terms of sequences is, as you said, when you're on LinkedIn too, going back to the LinkedIn example, you do take them out of LinkedIn and you give them a multi-channel approach, so that they see you in all sorts of different places, and then it doesn't feel like you're bombarding them with emails or bombarding them with tweets. It's knitting together every single interaction through a multi-channel approach.
All right, multi-channel approach. Explain more about that, because that's the kind of thing I can hear somebody standing in front of a training course going, what you need to do is a multi-channel approach.
And it sounds really scary.
What's one of them?
It sounds scary, yeah, absolutely. So let me give you another example. So when we've taken them through that LinkedIn
really
experience,
animated now.
I know, because
Getting really excited.
This stuff works, Steve. It is the sequences stuff that really does work. So we've got them off of LinkedIn. We might have sent them a direct marketing piece. Wow, that's great. They've got something in the post, and post is grossly underutilised these days.
When we say post, we mean snail mail.
Physical snail mail item in the post that is delivered, handwritten if you can, with a nice stamp on it, so it looks nice and personalised. And receiving that, it's definitely going to stick out. Follow that up with an email. Follow it up after that with a telephone call. Meanwhile, use the data that you have and put that into Facebook as a custom audience and market to them through Facebook as well. And they start to feel like, wow, this company is everywhere. And they start to believe in the credibility of your brand. So it is bringing together all different marketing channels into one person's experience of your brand.
It's strange though, isn't it? Because the social media platforms are working towards, they are measured on numbers. So they like you to have a huge number of followers. You know, you go onto LinkedIn, it's really celebrated if you are a 500 plus person. And if you go on to Facebook, Facebook relish, or in fact the users relish the fact that they've got 300 friends. I mean, I don't think I've got 2 friends, but not even that many, some would say. But it's these huge numbers, and it's managing and reacting to large numbers. Is that not a problem, or are you very conscious of who you are actually communicating with? In your business, for instance, do you look at your LinkedIn profile and do you target a small number specifically?
Yes, absolutely. And it might not even be those people that I'm connected to. LinkedIn is a wonderful tool when you're working with other businesses, because it's not just about the people you're connected to. You can go off and find other people that are right for you to do business with, that you could enhance with your service and your product. So yes, it is about being very, very targeted with that. And you can do the same with the likes of Facebook too.
For a small business owner then, do you think there is a maximum number of people that they can proactively be marketing to on a day-by-day basis?
I don't think it's a maximum. I think it's around, I don't think it's a numbers game as much as it is about identifying, coming back to that star customer again. You can have thousands and thousands as long as they fit the same profile. And that's what it's all about. And also, when it comes to numbers, if you are thinking about the campaign as a whole, it's making sure that if you got a good response to that marketing campaign, how could you actually manage that internally when the responses start to come back in? How many clients can you handle? How are you going to follow all of that marketing up afterwards to make sure it works? So it's about making sure you've got the resource to deal with the volume when it comes back in.
And briefly, have you seen that where businesses have had a very successful campaign and have actually destroyed all the hard work that they've done because they then couldn't handle the responses when they did arrive?
More so in a large corporate environment than in the smaller business environment. I think that smaller businesses will say, oh, I'm not going to do too much because it might have a big response, when you need to think that actually marketing, whilst it's a numbers game, you will get a small number of those that you actually market out to. So it's small percentages that come back in. So when we're working with businesses, we actually help them to realise if you do something to this many people, this is the response you can expect from it.
So if we're looking at, and I mean, I'm sure if anyone from LinkedIn is watching this at the moment, but LinkedIn, what kind of response rate do you see typically back from LinkedIn?
I think it really, really varies. So that some of the examples that we're using at the moment is that multi-channel approach to LinkedIn, where it starts on LinkedIn, but it goes off into direct marketing. So that's one campaign that we're doing at All Star Marketing Club right now. And our direct marketing results are coming back way more. So we're up at the 10-15% response rate, which is kind of way above anything you should normally expect from direct marketing, because we're down at the 1 to 2%, if that.
Okay, listen, we'll come back. We'll talk a little bit more about that. We're also going to look at beautiful marketing as well when it comes to, you know, the efforts that you put into it, what you can truly achieve. And, of course, we'll have the key takeaways that you need to have to make certain that your marketing is going to be effective. It's all to come very shortly on this edition of Business Connections Live with my guest, Victoria Vickery. Well then, here we are. It is a Monday lunchtime. Hope your lunchtime is going well. If you're just sitting there munching over your sandwiches at the moment, that's good to know. We've got at least, let's have a look here, we've got about another 10 minutes or so worth of key content for you. By the way, if you're watching Victoria at the moment thinking, you know, I do not know what I would do if I was sat in a TV studio and somebody was asking me questions, and you feel pretty uncomfortable about that, then really in this multimedia world, you've really got to be prepared for that. Now, if you are a company, a business or an organisation at the moment and you're thinking that you're not prepared for that inevitable clash with the media, maybe you should be coming on our one-day media training course. We call it How to Handle the Media. You come in and we sit you in front of cameras, we interview you, we put you on the radio, and we do all the kind of things that we take you through the experiences that you would go through if you were, in fact, working with the media, whether you're speaking about how you be, what your company's doing, about the company policy, about maybe avoiding questions perhaps when they're thrown at you, about how to manage an interview situation. It all happens on our one-day training course. James Griffin from Iris Software, he joined us on one of our training courses. He brought his team of sales execs in with him. We had 5 people on this particular course. The course is completely turnkey, so it's exactly for the business when they come in. We use your press releases, we make certain it is relevant to your industry, and we even get the people back at base involved with it as well. It's a cracking day out. It's a great team building day for that matter as well, and here's what James said when he brought his team on our How to Handle the Media training course.
I'm James Griffin from Iris Software, and my team have just completed the How to Handle the Media workshop. It was a really great course, it was really fun, and it was a really unique way for them to polish their presentation skills and learn how to answer difficult questions under pressure. So I'd highly recommend this to anybody that values those skills and really wants a great day out with their team.
There we go, fantastic day. If you want more details about that, all you got to do is contact us. I suggest, listen, I'm going to use some psychology on you now, a bit of neuroscience. I suggest you pick the phone up and call us right now. If you want, you can also email us at studio. Oh, there's a telephone number. Oh, well, so, see, the psychology is working on my producer. I was going to do it in the right order, but there we go. 01784 256 777 is our telephone number if you want to have a word with myself or Linda Bazan about how we can really get you nice and comfortable with handling the media. If you fancy emailing us, then why don't you go to studio@businessconnectionslive.com. Let's be all over the place. Facebook's a good place to go to. Facebook, you can always follow our programs there at facebook.com, Business Connections Live. And of course, you can always tweet us as well, DM us, or just follow our stream of consciousness at BCL Business TV. Well done, by the way. You're watching Business Connections Live. My guest on today's show is Victoria Vickery, founder and managing director of All Star Marketing Club. Before we continue talking to Victoria, if you want to find out more about them, you can go to their website. It is the All Star Marketing Club. Here it is here. Loads of information here. Grow your small business successfully, get the customers you need and get them fast. The different things that you're going to learn on the particular course as well. Some nice courses that you can go on, the Inner Circle, the Marketing Academy Online and the Mumpreneurs Business Academy. And there are a lot of people, of course, who at the present are looking. Oh, look at that little pop up there. Very good. So doing it all. It's doing it all. But it's, you know, it's a good site. Some nice information on there as well. You can find out exactly how they can help your business too. And you can go to their website. Their website address is
www.allstarmarketingclub.com.
Beautiful marketing efforts, but no traffic. It's a, you know, we've done all the work, we've put it all together, but we're seeing no traffic coming back to the site. That must be the most soul-destroying moment in a marketeer's career, when they do everything they feel they should do. How do you cope with that, and what do you do to resolve it? Is it a case of going, where did it all go horribly wrong?
It can be. Taking us back a step there, we did a survey it was about 50 people, 50 small business owners, to say, what do you think is most important when you're setting up your small business? What is it that you need to have from a marketing perspective? And the answers, and rightly so, were things like, well, I need a website, I need a social media presence, LinkedIn, Facebook and such like. I need flyers, I need brochures, I need a telephone line and a business card. So yeah, that feels about right. We do need all of those things. But as beautiful as all of those things might be, they don't generate traffic. So when we are looking at our marketing, we need to think about, okay, we've got all of this great stuff, but how do I drive traffic to it? Because lots of companies, and I've got so many examples of this, they spend so much money and so much time and effort on those things, but don't drive traffic to it. And traffic has got to be the number one priority.
So we're talking about driving traffic to your website. A lot of people seem to see their website as being the online proof of concept, the brochure nearly. And they feel that once you've got past the interest bit, people will go to the website. We all do it. We go to people's website to check them out, actually, don't we, to see how credible. I'm sure when we invited you on the programme, you went to our website to see what we were all about at businessconnectionslive.com, getting it in there quickly. But the thing that's interesting about that is that do you need a website that you've got traffic going to? Can it not be done with just traditional sales calls? Or is the website where the traffic and the calls are made? Yeah,
I think that for me, as you rightly say, it's a credibility piece for one thing, that you have a website and you are an actual business. And there are varying degrees of website. You'll have ones that are simply quite brochure-like, that tell you exactly what a customer, what a business does. And you'll have ones that go more down the e-commerce route because they sell online. But I think having a website is a very important thing to have. It's a reference point, it's your shop window, it's where you can explain to people exactly what you do for them, and it's a place where you can talk about the pain points that you overcome for the customers that you serve.
So how do we drive the traffic there then?
I think in this day and age, I sound like I'm right
in this day and age.
In this day and age, back in my day it was very tough, but in this day and age it's never been easier, because we have the likes of social media out there to help us. And it is all about how you connect your social media, your PR, your direct marketing, any effort that you do. It's about how you connect that back to drive traffic to your website. And we use things like content marketing as a really, really good source for doing that.
So what's that mean then?
So content marketing is all about thinking about, we'll take you back to the star customer, what is it that they need to know? What is it that will really help them on this particular day to in their business life or in their home life, whatever your product or service is? How can you help them today? And if you can help them and become a trusted provider in their eyes, somebody that they feel like they have a relationship with, they are more likely to buy your product or service. So content is used in this way, and it could be 10 reasons why, or how to do X, or it could simply be an ebook on just thinking back to our business, we have an ebook on 20 winning ways to promote your small business. So it's things like that. It's enriching their lives on that given day in a way that will be really helpful to them. And that's what content marketing is all about.
What's the most successful form of content marketing? What works the best? Because we've all been sign up for our free newsletter. That really doesn't work anymore, does it? People are looking for information, they're looking for an exchange of ideas.
Yeah, it is, and I think that it is a matter of building up trust. I mean, there's lots of different things that work really well. Listicles, as we call them, so lists of things that are easy to read through. Video is fantastic for content marketing, and the ebooks are too. But it's about having a strategy in place to use that content marketing, and it's what we call gated and ungated content. So gated meaning they have to give you their email address and name for it, so you're building up your database at the same time, and also the things that you're willing to give away openly for free, just to build up that relationship and that credibility with the people that you would like to work with. So
are we too hungry to try and get that email, to get that piece of information sometimes? Does that nearly work against us?
Sometimes it can do. So if you go on to lots of people's website, they will have things like ebooks that they'll ask for an email address for, whereas that's kind of a step too soon in the process. So I think more and more we're working towards engineering the marketing sequences so that we're giving much more away for free. And we can do that with our Facebook pages, with LinkedIn, with Twitter, and all of the other social media channels that exist out there. So it's about just being really open and showing your worth, because if people can't kind of take a bite of the cake first of all and taste what it's like, why should they invest in you? And I think that is the smart move to take these days.
Listen, the hour is nearly up, strangely enough, and we've talked and talked and talked. What we always ask our guests to do is to give the key takeaways that we've had from the day. So it's straight down camera number one. Say who you are, where you're from, and what in your mind's eye are the key takeaways from today when it comes to increasing our marketing, knowing what we're doing with it, who we're approaching, and how we make our marketing, our ROI, how we make that really work for us so that we know that we are getting a true return on our investment when it comes to our marketing. So straight down camera number one. Don't forget to say who you are and where you're from.
Okay. Hello, I'm Victoria Vickery from All Star Marketing Club. We coach small businesses on how to do marketing successfully so that they will always have marketing as a key pillar in their business. My advice to small businesses watching today is to make sure that you have marketing as a key pillar in your business. Budget is not a restriction, time is not a restriction. It's about making sure that you use marketing in the right way for your business. And this can all be worked without budget and carving out the time it takes for you to implement marketing in your business. The first thing to start with is thinking about who are your star customers, the ones that are right for your business. If you market to everybody, you're simply marketing to nobody at all. So be really clear on who it is that your business is right for, and tell them that. Tell them why you're right for them. If you can connect emotionally with them, even better. So really think about what it is that your customers fear and what are their pain points, and how can you solve those problems for them. You then need to think about how you speak to those customers, and do remember that when you are talking to your customers, your potential customers, it is going to take time and perseverance. So please do build in those 7 to 15 touch points in your marketing, and just be like a bit of a dog with a bone. Don't let them go. Know that when you start marketing, there is a process that you engineer to make sure that they understand you, understand your business, and understand your brand.
And there it is. Fantastic. I mean, for me, I think the big takeaway for me is that, you know, be a dog with a bone. Hold on to it. Just keep going for it. When it does feel that you've done enough, do a little bit more.
Absolutely.
It's a bit like when you use silence in a presentation. You stop talking and you make no noise at all. until it starts to become uncomfortable. And then you start again, and it draws people's attention. People feel really uncomfortable with that, but it's something that you use when you're doing public speaking, something we used to use when you're doing broadcasting. To silence is everything. Maybe that moment of embarrassment where we feel that we're marketing a little bit too much. I suppose that's the question. Can you market too much?
I think you possibly can market too much, and I think that's why it's important to work it out before. It's about making that sequence and strategically thinking about it so that everything you do is done with meaning and reason. And by doing that, we can make sure that we have engineered it in exactly the right way.
Well, if you're not marketing enough, if you're not marketing at all at the moment, if you're not using social media, if you're not actually getting out there and telling people about your brand or your product, then you're probably missing out on some huge opportunities. It's been my pleasure to have Victoria Vickery on the programme today. Hope you found it really interesting as well. Victoria, as I said, founder and managing director of All Star Marketing Club. Their web address, once again, is all the W's, allstarmarketingclub.com. Don't forget, you can go to their website, quick gander at the website, and you can also give them a call there. They give you some information about what they can offer you as well, and also about the individual services they provide you. But I think at the end of the day, what you're getting there is a real insight. And as I said, we cannot emphasize this enough. You know, marketing is about bringing your customers to the water, and then the sales is making them drink. If you never get them to the river to actually think about buying from you, then they're never going to buy from you because they don't know you're there. Honestly, pick up the phone, find out more about it. Do leave a comment about the programme as well on that matter too. Would really appreciate that. Hope you've enjoyed it today. As I said, my guest on today's show, Victoria Vickery, founder, managing director of All Star Marketing Club, and I hope you've enjoyed this edition of Business Connections Live. We'll see you all again next week. But before we leave you today, what we are going to do is a little bit of the housekeeping. Always important. See who's coming up in the next couple of weeks. So what we got additional, let's see what we got coming in next week's show. We're going to have Ginny Carter, the author maker, and coming up on future programmes, Alison Hale, Oxford Professional Consulting. She's going to be joining us. Jim McLaughlin, Managing Director of Axial. Antonio Falco will be on the program. Good to have Antonio back again. Nikki Creel, by the way, has got a new book out. Can we throw the new book in very quickly? We'll give her a quick plug while I'm chatting away here. And James Potter, the LinkedIn man, just throw it across the table in. Thanks a lot. Thank you. Beautifully done, if you don't mind me saying. And here it is, the brand new book from Nikki Creel, author of How to Twitter for Business Success. This is the essential guide to social media sales success. Can we see it here? I don't know. There we just have a quick... no, all right, I'll show it there. There we go. Conversions to customers. Fantastic book by the author, Nikki Creel. Must be time to roll those credits. It's been an absolute ball today. Thank you very much indeed for your time. My thanks once again to Victoria Vickery, founder and managing director of All Star Marketing Club. Till we do it all again next week, from the pair of us, have yourself a fantastic week. And don't forget, everything is marketing, and marketing is everything.